Okay. Everything seems to be working. I'm even almost on time. If I'm almost on time, something must not be working. So, I'm sure that something has already gone catastrophically wrong and I just haven't noticed it yet. But okay, we're going to get started regardless. And if it all goes horribly wrong, then I'll deal with it then. So we'll go ahead and we'll strike this, because we're no longer starting soon. We are started. Hello! Shadowcat back, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're finishing up this module? Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. I did add stuff to it, though. So, only making it harder. But I realized that, I had made a mistake, so yeah. Just had to be done. Let's see, where did we leave off last time? Right, last time we were doing this, we were working on bonding primarily, and I need to pull everything up now. So, where's our spreadsheet? There's our spreadsheet. Excellent. Oh, now, see, I said something had to go catastrophically wrong, and now it has. Tux is in the chat. See, I knew it had to happen, and now it has. And you can't tell me that you can't hear me because OBS says you can. So if you can't hear me, that's on you, not me. At least I hope that's the case. Because if you actually can't hear me, then I have no idea what's going on. So you're going to have to tell me, can you actually hear me or not? In fact, I might need a second opinion. I might need a third opinion. In fact, I'm kind of hoping I get a third opinion because there's actually a Discord server for all the people that got kicked out of Reddit for not liking the Amazon Wheel of Time series. And I'm part of that server. I have even watched their live streams, I have commented on their live streams, and they've recognized me. And I have not been sharing this stream with them. So it's like, okay. And then I went this morning and I shared the stream with them and I put it in the wrong channel, so now I look like the asshole. Oh well, there's not much I can do about it. I always look that way. Anyway, though, yeah, Taps mic. Is this thing on? Sound check. Check 1, check 2. Can we get a bit of a bit more gain in the back? No? Oh, wait, we don't have a back, do we? That's right, we only have the one source and there's only like one speaker. Yeah, this is like the worst sound check ever. Anyway, we also are going to need a browser, which I should have up here somewhere. Yep, there it is. Perfect. And we'll kind of move this up so they're sharing the screen. But yes, hello Tux, good to see you in the chat. Hello JP, good to see you in the chat too. You two are my reliables. I would be lonely here if you weren't here. Alright, so as I said, today we're going to be working on crafting rules. However, it occurred to me that I should probably have rules for Wolf Brothers and Dreamwalkers. So I added them on the list. I don't think they're going to take very long, just because I don't think there's a whole lot to really add there. Especially since there's a rather significant bleed over between the two of them. Where it could get complicated is if we end up having to make an entire rule set for Tel'aran Riyadh. If I have to make an entire rule set for the Dream World, this might take longer. But I don't think I do. or at least if I have to, I don't think the rules have to be that expansive. Because from what we have seen in there, what we have seen in Teleron Riyadh is that the world and everything in it is basically an extension of your will. So we can take a normal world, but in this alternate world, in the dream world, basically all of your stats don't matter. Your hit points don't matter, your strength doesn't matter, dexterity, everything. There is only one stat that matters in Teleron Riyadh, and that is your wisdom and your will save. Everything comes down to that. So basically, anything that you want to do in Teleron Riyadh, you would do using a wisdom check. You want to lift a boulder? Wisdom check. Fire an arrow? Wisdom check. Everything that you do is going to depend on that because you're not actually doing things. You're kind of shaping your actions and shaping the world around you to accommodate them. An interesting way to think of this would be, I was explaining the concept of the Scarlet Witch from Marvel to somebody, because I was explaining to them how powerful the Scarlet Witch is. And the Scarlet Witch in Marvel is a universe scale reality shaper. And as I explained it, a normal person can lift a rock. A superhuman or super strong person can lift a boulder. Then you have your superheroes who are like, they're just like godlike strong, where they can bench press a planet. And so that's where you get your characters like the Hulk or Superman or whatever, where they can just, they can grab a planet and fling it out of its orbit. Then you have other really powerful characters who are so strong that they can move a planet without even touching it. There are characters who just say, I want this planet out of this orbit and into this orbit, and just by thinking it, the planet would shift from one orbital to the other. But there's one step above that, and that's where the Scarlet Witch resides. Because she doesn't actually have to do things. Whenever she thinks something, it just happens. If she thinks that a planet should be in a different orbit, then the planet has always been in that orbit. It doesn't move, it's just there. It's always been there, and it's always going to be there until she decides it's otherwise. Her thoughts shape reality. And I kind of think that that is how Teleron Riyadh is going to work. Because you don't necessarily have to move things. You can just think it and it's there. And there's almost no real upper limit to that. Somebody who is strong enough in Teleron Riyadh can literally reshape the entire dream world. We see small amounts of that throughout the series. Usually between the women who are there when they like to dress each other in either more conservative or more insulting dresses and such. But they can do things like open doors that would otherwise be locked, or visit places that are otherwise inaccessible. I think there's even points where they can see the past or the future in Teleron Riyadh. To say nothing of the souls that live there. So it would basically be an entire world of just sheer willpower and perception. It would be based on the real world, of course, and it would still have to adhere to the same rules that it does in the books. Things that are permanent tend to be permanent, and things that tend to be transitory tend to not exist. which is why in Teleron Riyadh, things like doors generally kind of alternate between either open or closed, because a door exists in kind of both states at once until you decide to look at it and say, well, is the door opened or closed? And Jeffrey's in the house. Hello, Jeffrey. And what do you mean, hello, human? Didn't you read the name? It's cat. Unless you're talking to them. In which case, one of them's a penguin. So I have to assume you're only talking to JP. In which case, congratulations, JP, on your new best friend. Also, Blizz is in the chat, but you can't call her human either, because she's a dragon. Tuck says a man would just make her naked. I can see another woman putting a female in a stupid dress, and that female being even more offended than nude. Actually, that happened. that happened more often than you think. Or they would, put their hair into, like, pigtails or something like that. But yeah, Teleron Riyadh would basically just be a world of nothing but wisdom, will, and perception. And that's it. So any character who had, like, really high wisdom and really high will could be godlike in Teleron Riyadh. Whereas if you were playing a character who was very not wise, you would struggle and perhaps be at the mercy of literally every other thing that was in there. We can work on that later, though, if we want to get down rules for it. Like I said, today I primarily wanted to focus on crafting rules. But it occurred to me that it's kind of significant. And so we got to have rules for it. I mean, the Dreamwalkers go there, and that, of course, is a talent. Much like traveling, much like the One Power itself. So we would roll, like, say, a D10, and if you're rolling a 10, you could be a Dreamwalker. Also, you could roll a D10, and if you roll a 10, you could be a Wolf Brother. So if you kind of get the idea how we're going on this, like, when you roll your character, you'll get, like, 3 D10s, and you can say, all right, first D10. Can I channel? Throw the dice. It's a 7. You can't channel. All right. Can I be a Wolf Brother? Throw the dice. It's a 3. Can't be a Wolf Brother. Can I be a Dreamwalker? Throw the dice. Hits a 10? Congratulations. Your character might be just like a bog standard fighter, but you're also a Dreamwalker. Now the question is, where are you going to put your stats? Because if you're a fighter and a Dreamwalker, do you want to put a whole bunch of points into your strength and constitution so that you can stab people and also get stabbed and survive? Or do you want to put your points into being a Dreamwalker into wisdom so that you're stronger there? Choices. I love choices. Choices are the best part of any tabletop game. If you don't have choices, it's not fun. This is why nobody wants to be railroaded. Everybody wants to have choices. Everybody wants to be able to labor on these decisions. So, we can do that. We'll need the rules for that later on. For now, though, I'm going to focus on the crafting. So, to do this, we first have to go back and say, standard Pathfinder crafting. How does it work and how are we going to alter it? So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to move this up here just because we don't... that's good to have around for testing purposes, but we don't really need it right now. So I'm going to come over here and just say... yeah, right here is good. Crafting. Now, for crafting, we're actually going to need to have 2 sets of rules. Although they may overlap, I'm not sure. Because in the books, we see two things that are crafted. The first of which that I want to focus on, let's call it power forging. Because Rand's sword, Land's sword, a few others that we see, and Perrin's later on are all created with the power of, well, the power. And it's a very, very specific way that it had to be done. Now, unfortunately, we only actually see it done once. And it was so badass. Even in a book. Like, it's like you see a scene in a movie, and it's like you see a scene in a movie, like a battle scene or something, and you're like, oh, that was awesome. Forging Perrin's weapon was the book equivalent to that. Because it's like, hold on. I'm going to go back and read that again. So, that is the only thing that we get there, and it seemed to be straightforward, but at the same time, it didn't actually tell us how it was done. And I wonder if we can get anything on the wiki about this. So let's try this. Let's try the Wheel of Time and Forge. Did I spell that wrong? I did spell that wrong. A forger? Forgers, sometimes referred to as shadow forgers, are man-shaped entities created by or for the Dark One. Okay, so not this. Okay, these are the guys that make the black blades. Gotcha. So, no, not those guys. Wayland's Forge. No, no, no. Okay. We'll just back up here. Let me see if I can find something else. Oh, by the way, there might be spoilers in this. I don't know if I put this forward yet, but there might be some spoilers as we're doing this. Just in case anybody was here under the misconception that I'm going to do everything I can to not spoil things. The fact of the matter is, I'm going to try to not spoil things, but I'm also probably going to fail to not spoil things. I just want to make sure that that's out there. Okay, so... prophecies, there it is. Okay, so there's the hammer. Now, this might be useful. Okay. Power wrought. Let's take a look at what this says. An item is said to be power wrought or power forged if the one power was used in its construction. During construction, this is achieved by the process or talent called aligning the matrix, in which the one power is used on the atomic level to strengthen steel or to seamlessly join stone using flows of earth. Alright, so already we got more information than I thought we would. Significant examples, I don't care about the significant examples. I really don't. Buildings. Power wrought buildings are reinforced with the one power. So let's see. Significant examples would be the column Dawn, or the Hall of Servants, the Sharam, the Stone of Tyr, or Whitebridge. Fair enough. Power-wrought weapons have had their metallurgical structure enhanced with the 1 power. They never need sharpening. They never need sharpening and are immune to corrosion and rust. Only with great difficulty can they be broken or damaged. Possibly only with the 1 power itself or another power-wrought blade. Alright, this gives us something to work with. They never need sharpening and are immune to corrosion and rust. Okay. So let's go back to Pathfinder now. Let's look at crafting. Somewhere in here. Is it on the front page? Could be on the front page. Game mastering, equipment, magic items. This would technically be a magic item, so maybe in here. Skills, feats. Actually, what if we just go to craft? Practice something, make it, or practice a trade, create a masterwork item. Okay, well, obviously anything power forged or power wrought is going to be masterwork by default, so that's hardly important. Unchained crafting, yeah, we're not going to want this. It's a good start, but that's not what we want right now. What I want is something we can work from or towards. And so that we're going to need, I don't know, magic items? Can I get crafting rules in here? Ah, here we go. Magic item creation. I can barely read this. How much bigger can I make it before it becomes unwieldy? Alright, cooperative crafting. If you need another character to supply one of the item's requirements, such as if you're a wizard creating an item with a divine spell, both you and the other character must be present. This is important because the one time we saw it actually being done in the books, it was cooperative crafting. Both you and the other character must use the downtime at the same time for this purpose. You only make a skill check to complete the item, or if there is a chance of creating a cursed item, GM makes the check in secret. I don't think we gotta worry about any kind of cursed items, but, hey, why not? I can throw that in if you want. Congratulations! You've made a sword! Your sword is tied to the Dark One. Enjoy! Alright, cost in gold. Here we go. Estimating cost, sure, whatever. Adding new abilities. Altering existing things. Okay, so here's what I kind of want to look at. Creating magic weapons. There should be like an entire... There should be an entire page on this. And I don't know where it is. Because I want to be able to see all the different effects. Wondrous items, random challenges, class-specific challenges. Yeah, no, don't care about that. I want to see all the different things, because these are things that I need to see. What if I can get there from equipment? Let's see. There we go. Weapon qualities? Well, it's useful, but not what I want. Special weapon features, gladiatorial weapons? Oh, cool. Masterwork weapons, creating new weapons. No, not what I want. Alright, where the hell is it? Put under magic items. Magic plants, cursed items, intel, magic armor, magic weapons? Okay, I think I might have found what I'm looking for. Okay, I did find what I'm looking for. It just took me longer than I thought it would. Alright, so here's all the weapon special abilities. Let's take a look. Impervious is number 1. An impervious weapon is warded from damage and decay. A metallic weapon cannot rust, and a wooden weapon cannot rot or warp even by magical or supernatural means. An impervious weapon gains double the normal bonus hardness and hit points for each of its enhancement bonuses. The break DC for an impervious weapon and the wielder's combat maneuver defense against sundering maneuvers gain a bonus equal to twice the weapon's enhancement bonus. Right there! That is perfect. So, before we do anything else, so power crafting. This is going to be, of course, because it has to be. So plus masterwork. Then it's going to have to be plus impervious. Now, impervious does not actually seem to imply a +1 bonus. It is just a flat 3,000 gold modifier. Which does not seem to have any kind of other comparison. No, wait, here we go. Okay, so a +1 is a 2,000 gold addition to the base price. This is a plus 3,000 base modifier, which is probably why they specified it separately. Still, it's the equivalent of a +1, or like a 1.1 or whatever. Which means, yeah, magic weapon has to be masterworked. Okay. So we're going to go plus impervious. Now, that gives you just a generic, bog standard, power wrought item. Whether it's a tool, whether it's a weapon, whether it's armor. So automatically, there we go. Now, obviously, the one thing that we're going to need here, it's going to require somebody who can actually channel. In the books, how it was used is they had a channeler take the place of a forge by channeling heat into it as part of the process. Now, that makes sense in the books because, well, you need heat to forge. We could do this in a much broader example, though, to add many of these other effects. For example, I'm just going to roll a D100 and see what comes up. Maybe, if it comes up. Alright, rolling a D100. 45. What is 45? 45 is Ghost Touch. A Ghost Touch weapon can do damage to incorporeal creatures. So, how would we do something like this? This would... I suppose a Ghost Touch weapon might be an item that can cross the boundary between the material world and Teleron Riyadh. Could you imagine a weapon that could actually kill people in Teleron Riyadh? Something that doesn't even really get a will save to like disbelieve it or resist it. Something that just kills things in Teleron Riyadh. Could be this. Now, the real question is, how would we do this? We can see that the aura says conjuration. So then what would we need for the 1 power to do conjuration? As a matter of fact, why don't we try this, okay? Let's go with school and power. So I'm going to duplicate this page. And now I want to go to wizards. And let's see. Spells, starting spells, arcane bond, arcane school. Okay, classic arcane schools. So, abjuration, conjuration, divination. Enchantment, evocation, illusion. Necromancy, transmutation. Now, since obviously we're not playing with magic, we're going to need to have some kind of power equivalent. For example, divination is probably just going to be spirit. Illusion is probably going to be air and spirit. Evocation, probably going to be fire and earth. Necromancy, we can probably get rid of. Nothing necromancy. No, we're not going to do necromancy. No, just delete that. No necromancy. Like, there's not too many things that we can just outright say don't exist there, but like I ran into this problem in my RimWorld series, The Rim of Time. Yeah, you can't really have necromancy. No undead, no resurrection or anything like that. And I know somebody is going to say, well, what about the one village? I'm not counting the one village. The one village was an aberration, and it's one that I think even Brandon Sanderson admitted he regretted. And even then, those people weren't dead. They were kind of trapped. So it still doesn't count. Let's see. Enchantment. So enchantments are just things that either help or hinder. Yeah, so enchantment can be used, well, for a lot of things. I do believe enchantments can also be used to harm people, if I recall my spells correctly. And I do primarily play a wizard, so usually pretty good at this. Yeah, Daze falls under enchantment. So enchantment is gonna have to be part spirit. I'm thinking spirit and water? I think so. So water, spirit. Abjuration. Abjuration is the school of protection. So I'm kind of thinking that abjuration will also be air. And for that matter, how about air and water? Conjuration. So conjuration is going to require you to actually think something up and then create it. I'm thinking earth and spirit. And that just leaves transmutation. Transmutation is going to be fire and air. Because it is by fire and air that we can use a forge to turn one thing into another. So, now that we look at this, if we go back to our Ghost Touch weapon, that means that during the forging process, we will need to feed air, or earth and spirit into the tool to do it. Now, the question is, how much? And I think the easiest way to do this is going to go ahead and use the cost that is already built in. So up here, the cost is in general paid in just gold. That's in pricing, but when you actually do this, let's see, where is it? Caster level for weapons, light generation, hardness, blah blah blah. Where is the rules for the actual crafting? Are they not in here? I'm gonna have to go back back one level. All right, so magic items, detect magic, using items. I want to craft weapon or craft items. Saving throws, let's see, charging doses, recharging. I don't think I see what I want in here. Wait, is it maybe in here? Magic item creation? Alright, let's read. To create magic items, spellcasters use special feats that allow them to invest time and money into the item's creation. At the end of the process, they must make a single check, usually spellcraft, but sometimes something else, to finish the item. If it has multiple possible skills, you choose which skill to make the to do it with. Okay. While item creation costs are handled in detail below, note that normally the two primary factors are caster level of the creator and the level of the spell or spells being put into the item. A creator can create an item with a lower caster level, but never lower than the minimum level needed to cast the spell needed. Using meta magic feats, you can place spells in items at higher levels than normal. Okay, basically you just can't cast or create an item with a spell or ability higher than your own. That's going to be less important to us since we're not using spell levels. We're instead using stamina points. Alright, so magic supplies are always half the price of the base item in gold pieces. That's what I wanted. Right there. I thought it was something like that. For many items, the market price equals the base price. So armor, shields, weapons, item with value independent of their magically enhanced properties, either add to their item cost, magic price. Okay, more importantly, this is what we need. So this does not need to change. That means that if we wanted to make a sword with Ghost Touch, that means that we're going to need the sword. And so we'll pay for the sword. Well, we pay half the price for the sword. We need the, I think it's 300 gold, so 150 for masterwork. And then, because it is going to be a +1 item, we'll need 1,000 gold for it. Now, what is that 1,000 gold for? I don't know in this case, because we're not buying like spell components or anything. But we're still going to need to pay it because we need it. In this case, maybe it's just the raw materials needed. I don't know. After that, we have to figure out how much of the 1 power we're going to be putting in there. And what I think I want to do, just as like just as a base level, I'm thinking of saying the weapon bonus times 1,000. So we're going to say normal crafting costs. However, stamina needed 1,000 times the, what do they call it? The bonus. So this means that in order to craft this one sword, we would need to have access to a pool of 1,000 stamina. Which, as we've established before, is kind of a lot, actually. After all, we have our bog standard average stats here. So a 14 constitution, 50 potential. You could flip a coin and go higher or lower than that. So your average person, not too weak, not too strong, would have 700 stamina and not be able to do this. Now, if you had 2 people and they bonded together, then maybe you could. But you would need to have 2 people there of roughly this strength to make it happen. You would have to have somebody pretty significantly talented to be able to do this on their own. Now, of course, this can be adjusted. We're going to divide this. Divide cost. We're going to divide the cost between the different flows that we need. So between, I'm just going to say the flows. Meaning that in order for us to do this, because it's conjuration, that means that we need somebody who can do both earth and spirit. Now, obviously, there is no discount for spirit, usually. Well, no, actually, there can be a discount for spirit. There's no advantage for spirit, so whatever you get, you've got. But that does mean that men might be better at doing conjuration kinds of things because they can simply say, we've got, or I have an advantage with earth, I get a discount for earth. Now, the discount, how did we do that? Did I not write it down? Tell me I did not skip that. I might have skipped that. Oh no. I'll have to go back and figure out how we did that before. Wait, I'm recording these. I can go back and listen to what I did before. This has its advantages sometimes. But yeah. So you get a discount there. If you have enough of a discount, if you're talented enough, then maybe you could actually afford this. I think the way I did it, if I remember right, I think that I gave like a 1% discount for every 2 points you had. So you could have at maximum like a 50% discount. So if we gave 50 to everything, then that means that it would be like a 25% discount, meaning that we could drop this down to, say, a 500 stamina cost, which would make it a lot more easily, and even this person with average stamina could pull it off. That would be like the only thing they did during that day. And they'd have 200 stamina left over, but still. There's not a whole lot you can do with 200 stamina. Of course, you could also go into debt. I mean, as per our rules, you could technically go down below 0. You would just risk being exhausted by it. And then once you're exhausted, you know, you're basically done for the day. Yeah, no, I think this actually kind of works. And I think it also works if you were to go and look at some other ones. So if we look at something that has like a higher bonus. I'll just roll another D100 here so we get something random. A 58. A 58 would make it holy. So a holy weapon is imbued with holy power. This makes the weapon good aligned. Not too important, I don't think. No one's going to be really able to sense alignments anyway. Bypasses damage reduction. It deals an extra 2d6 points of damage against all creatures of evil alignment. Again, we're not going to have too much good and evil stuff going on. There could be definite light and dark, but not so much good and evil. Let's see. So there's not a whole lot this could really do. However, moderate evocation, we're talking about a cost of 2,000 stamina. And for evocation, that would be fire and earth. I kind of think this is working out pretty well. And what do you think? JP says, dark roast. Let's see. Rain stuff? Oh, I guess +2 is the highest. Oh, no, it doesn't. There we go. +3. Or +4 or 5. Oh, well, there's Vorpal, everybody's favorite. Everybody loves Vorpal weapons. So for a Vorpal weapon, it would require strong necromancy and transmutation. Obviously, necromancy is out, but we're talking for a Vorpal weapon, it would cost 5,000. 5,000 stamina. And being transmutation, it would require fire and air. And of course, upon the roll of a natural 20 and successful roll to confirm, this weapon severs the opponent's head if it has one. So yeah, you could have a beheading weapon if you've got 5,000 stamina lying around to do so. Jeffrey just says, wow, is it because you've never seen a Vorpal weapon before? Everybody loves Vorpal weapons. However, 5,000 stamina is just... yeah. JP says you're going to need a whole circle for a Vorpal weapon. Maybe. Maybe. So if we look at our Ungreals, so an Ungreal is anything that is less than a 100% boost. So anything from 1 to 99. That means that if you were, like, perfect. What is perfect? Perfect would be 18 Constitution. And a natural 100 potential. So, since it is multiplied, that means that a person with perfect stats would have 1,800 stamina. Now, if a Sa-Ungrial was anything from 100% to 200%, a 200% Sa-Ungrial would be able to push this up to 3,600 stamina. Which still would not be enough for a Vorpal weapon. Now I say that, although I do know that there are more Ungrial out there, I wonder if we have actual power scaling for those. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this page. And alright, Ungrial. How much does it say that it will increase? Because maybe I got to redo my numbers. Let's see. Well, all Ungrial... hold on. It allows those who can channel to draw more than one power than they normally could without harming themselves in the process. Well, Ungrial... All Ungrial offer this benefit. They do so they do vary considerably in strength. The amount of additional power they can provide depends on access to the Ungrial's strength and the channeler's own strength in the one power. Stronger the channeler, the more power the Ungrial provides. Sa-Ungrial are like Ungrial, but they are much more powerful. They can amplify either Saidane or Saidar, which that's going to be important later. It does not actually say anything about power, though. So I don't have anything that I can really... go by. No, it doesn't. So I have to go by my own numbers, which means that I'm probably going to be pretty reluctant to include any Sa-Ungrial that do more than a 200% boost in power. I mean, while I'm sure that they might exist, I don't have any really good examples to scale from. At least not that I can think of. I mean, if somebody else out there has a different insight on this, then let me know. And Jeffrey says, I've never seen one before, but the stamina is crazy. Okay, what do you mean by you've never seen before? You talk about a Vorpal weapon or the system we've got going? Because I think you missed when we made the channeling system in the first place. I don't think you were here for that. Let's see. I wonder if I look at this. Let's see. This seems to be very much the same as the other one. Jeffrey says a Vorpal weapon. Yeah, that's because, like I said, everybody loves Vorpal weapons, but because they are so very, very powerful, most games will never have them. Because I gotta tell you. Let's take a look at this, okay? Magic weapons, here we go. So follow me on this one, okay? Just take this little detour with me, okay? A Vorpal weapon upon a roll of a natural 20. Now it does state here, natural 20. But a natural 20 is also a critical hit. So some GMs will say it must be in a natural 20. Some GMs will just say critical hit. And the reason why I say that is because when you look here at the spells, Circle of Death, there's your Necromancy, Transmutation, Keen Edge. What does Keen Edge, you say? Keen Edge targets one weapon or 50 projectiles, makes the weapon magically keen, improving its ability to deal telling blows. It doubles the threat range of a weapon. So if it's a natural 20, it becomes a 19 to 20. If the threat range was already 19 to 20, it becomes 17 to 20, and so on and so forth. So depending on which DM you have, who's running the game and how they want to play it, a Vorpal weapon can either require a 20, or it can just require a crit. Now, if you argue with your DM, and you get them to agree to just a crit, because most weapons only crit on a 20. Okay? Follow me on this one. We're going to make a Vorpal weapon. What weapon are we going to use? We're going to come down here to Equipment. We're going to go down to Weapons. We're going to take something martial, something one-handed. Do you know where we're going with this one? Leave a comment if you think you know where this is going. Martial weapons, long-handed, or one-handed. Battle Axe has a ×3 crit multiplier, but again, only on a 20. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. A Cutlass with an 18 to 20 range. Ooh. So you roll an 18, 19, or 20, and it's a crit. Oh, look at that. A Scimitar. Another 18 to 20. Oh, look at that. My personal favorite. A Rapier. That also does 18 to 20. And it's a finesse weapon. Finesse weapons are even better. So you now have an 18 to 20 critting weapon. So, you have a 15% chance to get a critical hit. Then all you have to do is roll another hit to confirm. Oh, but wait, there's more. If we come over here to feats, and we want combat feats, let's come down here to I for improvement. Improved critical shot, or impact critical shot, impact, improved impaling, improved. Oh wait, what's this? Improved critical? Well now, what does this do? So, benefit. When using the weapon you selected, your threat range is doubled. Okay. So if we go back a few, and our Rapier, we already saw, has an 18 to 20. If the threat range is 18 to 20, it now becomes 15 to 20. So if you have a Vorpal weapon, and you get a highly critical weapon, like say a Rapier, and you pick the feat, Improved Critical, you can literally stab somebody in the side of the neck with a Rapier, twist, and remove. There is a reason why most DMs do not put Vorpal weapons into games. Because of people like me. Because I make campaigns not fun. Let's see. Tuck says I like long-handed better. I think you mean reach. I don't know if long-hand is what they use in D&D. You probably mean a reach weapon in Pathfinder. Something that will actually attack at a range of like 10 feet, like a spear. And I agree, spears are awesome. Like, I love my rapiers. But even as much as I love my rapiers, I will usually carry a spear. There is a reason why the spear was there at the birth of humanity, and spears are still in use today. JP says, make a Vorpal spatula. Okay. Except a spatula is not capable of doing damage. Which means that a spatula does damage of like 1d3 minus 2. So if you actually manage to do damage with a Vorpal spatula, yes, you could probably behead somebody with a spatula. I'm just saying, the odds of it are unlikely. Anyway, though. Oh, hey, look. Breadcrumbs. Right, breadcrumbs. We're getting back to this now. JP says, tell that to my mother. I'm not telling anything to your mother as long as she's holding a spatula. Okay? I'm not doing it. If she's holding a spatula, everything she says is law. My mother didn't have a go-to weapon when I was younger, mostly because, you know, it just didn't come up. My mother did have a belt that I was rather familiar with, though. However, I earned that every time. Now, that being said, my mother didn't really have a go-to weapon. My grandmother, however, walked with a cane. I'm sure you can see where this is going. Needless to say, the idea of doing something out of reach from my grandmother was not a valid plan, because her reach was double yours. And she was quick with it too. And man, did she have the aim, because you put one toe out of line and all of a sudden you have the end of that cane wrapped around your neck and you're on your knees. My grandmother probably could have fought an army. And she was all of like 4'10" because of scoliosis. She walks with a cane. She would have walked into like an entire encampment and come out 6 hours later with prisoners. Ah, yeah, good times. I learned quickly, thankfully. Oh, reach out and touch someone. She did. Alright, so where are we at now? We were discussing Vorpal things, but that's just because we were doing examples. Tuck says, my Blender render is on its last frame of rendering. I'll have to restart my PC. It's been powered up for 3 days straight, crunching frames as hard as it can. First one of this size, excited. I'm kind of excited too. I have no idea what you're even doing, but I'm excited for you. Also, I never turn my computers off. I'm just saying. My computers are always on, and I sleep with them. Like, I'm never away from my computers, and I'm never away from the internet. I am literally terminally online. If you were to take me away from here, I would start going through fits and withdrawals. No, I don't need help. I have a problem, and I like my problem. Alright, so I think we're pretty good here when it comes to the, crafting. So normal crafting cost takes care of materials. The 1,000 times the bonus, I think, works. And looking at the Vorpal weapon, like, I wouldn't stop you from making a Vorpal weapon if you wanted. But, like, the way to make a Vorpal weapon, even our perfect person up here, with their own Sa'angreal, which would also be perfect, would not be able to do it on their own. And I think that's a good restriction for it. Now, let's be honest here. our perfect person here with 1800 stamina, and who has the ability to, or has a perfect Sa'angreal giving them a pool of 3600 stamina, would still be an absolute monster when it came to crafting. Sure, you probably could not make a Vorpal weapon, but with 3600 stamina, you could do anything that was a +3. So that would be nullifying, repositioning, speed, or spell stealing. Spell stealing is, like, not going to be important, but nullifying. This special ability can only be placed on melee weapons. A nullifying weapon suppresses a creature's spell resistance for a short time. Anytime the weapon strikes a creature with spell resistance, the creature takes damage from the weapon. The target spell resistance is reduced by 1 for 1 minute. That does not seem to be very important. So what about this? Repositioning? Special ability can only be placed on melee weapons. It grants a +2 enhancement bonus to combat maneuver checks to reposition a foe. If the wielder confirms a critical hit with the weapon, he can attempt to reposition as a free action. These reposition attempts still provoke attacks of opportunity as normal, though. The weapon cannot both have anchoring and repositioning at the same time. JP says, who has the time for that kind of crafting in an adventure? Place an order with someone who can make them and pick it up later for the 1,000 gold. Look, if you can afford it, sure. However, keep in mind that, number one, there's going to be a markup. Like, this is the cost to do it yourself. If you go to get these services done, it's going to cost you more. Now, generally speaking, when I do this, I'll go into negotiations with you, okay? My negotiations are usually pretty simple, but they can be significant. So what I'll do is, if you want services done, I'll have you make a charisma check, okay? I will then oppose the charisma check with an appraisal check. So it's what you want to pay versus what they want you to pay. And because you're asking them, your charisma only gets your charisma bonus. Appraisal gets an ability bonus plus skill points. So you're on the losing end of that one. After that, we then go into bargaining, which is you get to roll diplomacy, I get to roll diplomacy. Or you can roll whatever social skill you want. It's diplomacy, intimidation, or bluff. But you can roll yours, I'll roll mine. And then, the difference between them, whichever direction it happens to go, which is already skewed in the merchant's favor, that will change the price of what's happening. So, I wonder if I can give an example here. Let's see. Hold on. You still don't get to see this. JP, I rolled a seduce. You can try. However, as it turns out, the blacksmith's forge is run by a blacksmith. Congratulations, you have seduced the blacksmith. He'll see you later tonight. Don't seduce things in my games. It's not going to end well for you. Okay. So I don't actually need the grid for any of this stuff. So we're just going to pull this out here. All right. Now, so what we were talking about. We were talking let's make a sword, okay? We're going to make a sword here. So, well, actually, hold on. I'll leave this one to you. Tell me, what weapon are we making? I'll let you pick the base weapon that we're going to work on. And I'm going to get a drink. Okay, so what weapon are we working on today? I don't know, I can't actually see my own stream. Where are we at? Okay, JP says a crossbow. I'm good with a crossbow. So we're going to come back to here, and we're going to say, okay, magic item creation, no, we'll use this one. So we're going to go to equipment, and I want weapons. I want ranged, and a crossbow is a simple ranged. So we're going to go with a heavy crossbow, 50 gold pieces. So heavy crossbow. That is 50 GP. Okay. Now, of course, it's going to have to be masterwork. That's 300. Now, we need to have an ability on it. So we're going to go and say, we'll go with 1d3 and uh-oh, I think I'm boring Jeffrey. I'm sorry, Jeffrey, but this is what we do all the time. All right, so 1d3 and 1d38. That means that we're doing a +1. And it's going to be number 38. So, magical item creation. This is not where I want to be. I want to go back this way. So, +1 ranged. And 38. Makes it flaming. Alright, so it's gonna get flaming. So flaming is a +1. And of course that makes it a 2,000 gold cost. So already, if we add everything up, this is actually pretty easy. It is 2,350. Now, if you were crafting this yourself, okay? So this is the total cost. If you were crafting this yourself, we would cut this in half. So that is going to be 1,175. So this is the amount of gold pieces you would have to come up with if you were going to make this yourself. However, if you're going to buy it from somebody else, then we have to go back to this cost. Because you're going to have to pay the total cost of it. So already you're paying twice what you would need to. Then, then we get into negotiation. All right, so you, them. Actually, them. Stop hitting that thing. I hate that I'm so bad at this. Why am I so awful all the time? You'd think that it's like one day I could be not awful. Alright, so here's how this goes. Now, since I don't have a character pre-made, I'm just going to make this really simple. For you, rolling your charisma, because you'll get a bonus, either +0 if you're like at a 10 or 11 to a +4 at an 18. I'm going to say that we're going to roll 1d20 plus 1d5 minus 1. And so 1d5 minus 1 will get us our range of 0 to 4. So let's find out what happens. Kind of hard to read it. I can't read that one at all. Oh, okay, that's a 2. And Jeffrey says, I kind of want to play, but I don't want to bother other people playing. What do you mean? That's the purpose of playing, is to bother other people. Seriously, if you're not playing because you don't want to bother other people, then you just don't want to play. No, the idea is to bother other people. Specifically, once we get into the game, you pick one player, and then you torment them relentlessly. But subtly, because you don't want them to get outwardly mad. No, you just do little slights here and there, just to slowly wind them up. Until eventually, they pin your character to a tree and then split them long ways with a battle axe. And by the way, I actually had that happen in one of my campaigns. Very briefly. Very briefly. I had a party, and in the party I had a great big stupid barbarian, and I had a little gnome. Now the little gnome's name doesn't matter. He's just, the little gnome in our group. However, he was a gnome, he was dexterous, he was a thief, he was a rogue. That's important. The great big stupid barbarian, his name was Bran. Now, this became an issue because, since he was named Bran, his immediate nickname became Muffin. The barbarian named Muffin. He hated it. And not just the character. Not just the character hated it. The player hated it. Like, over the 5 years that I was running a game, I only had 2 people leave. No, 3 people, but one of them was kind of flaky to begin with. This guy literally quit on his own because he didn't want to be there anymore. So he was named Muffin to almost everyone, but most people would not say it outwardly because his character would react violently. So what happened? Well, my rogue, on his level up, picked up the feat Ventriloquism. And so as they're walking through, or they're walking down the road between towns, we're keeping track, we're doing spot checks along the way. We're keeping track of time and everything. Every once in a while, the word muffin would just come out of a local tree or something. And of course his character reacts because he reacts. And he's like, I know you're doing it. And he's like, yeah, but you can't prove I'm doing it. Roll the dice. And of course he rolls the dice. And because he has a big stupid barbarian, there's no way in hell he can pin this on the gnome. And so the gnome keeps tormenting him all day, every day, calling him Muffin. From everywhere. Like his own shoes are calling him Muffin because he's using ventriloquism. And eventually, when this ceases to be an issue, or ceases to rile him up enough, he says, I'm a thief. I want to pick his pockets. And of course, I'm like, all right, well, that is countered by a perception check, but he's a big stupid barbarian. So he rolls perception, the other guy rolls to pick. He picks his pockets. And so as we're going, he's just picking his pockets. He's not even taking the stuff. He's just throwing it off the side of the road as he goes. He picks this out of his pockets, he throws it off the road. He picks this out of his backpack, he throws it off the road. So he's just emptying his pockets and emptying his backpack and just chucking his shit off the road along the way. He goes to check later on, because I'm doing all of this in secret. The only thing that I'm telling him is going on, he's like, I go into my pack to retrieve my thing, I say, it's not there. Because I have a copy of his inventory. And every time he fails the perception, I just pick a random item and remove it. So his shit's just getting thrown off the road. Eventually, he's left with, like, nothing but what he's actually carrying, which is to say, he's got his clothes, his backpack, and his axe, and nothing else. And so once he's left with nothing else, the gnome goes back to just calling him Muffin, just riling him up again. This continued over like 8 sessions. I mean, can you imagine this going on for like 8 sessions? And so eventually what happened was, he calls out the name Muffin once. And he rolls perception to see if he can figure out where it goes. And he nails it. He's like, I knew it was you. And of course the gnome was just like, what do you mean it was me? I didn't do anything. The gnome rolls to bluff. And so he's like, fine. What do I have to roll against bluff? I said, against bluff? Usually it's sense motive. He's like, I roll sense motive. He rolls it, nails it. He knows the gnome is doing it. He knows the gnome has been lying about it. He's like, by the way, has he been stealing the stuff out of my bags? Have you been stealing the stuff out of my bag? Of course not. I'd never do that. He rolls it. 3rd time in a row. Nails the gnome. He's like, you son of a bitch. And so at this point, I tell him how this has been going. He's been picking your pockets and picking your pack the entire time. Your stuff is scattered along the side of the road for the previous 80 miles. Combat starts. He's like, I'm going to kill you. I said, you're going to roll initiative first. So combat starts. He is a great big barbarian. He wins the initiative. So he goes to grab this guy. Now, it doesn't help that gnomes have a smaller body, and thus they have a smaller or a shorter speed. So he goes, grabs the, he grabs the gnome and just slams him up against a tree. He's got him grappled and he's just beating him against this tree. And after he gets done beating him against the tree, he drops the gnome. And the gnome is like, I have to get out of here. He's going to kill me. And I'm just like, I'm not going to stop this. You brought this on yourself. The only thing he has left is a battle axe. He goes after him. He swings the axe, and I'm like, all right, roll to hit. He rolls a crit. And I gotta tell you, I am a DM who runs on triple crits, okay? If you can crit 3 times, it's an instant death. So having a great big battle axe, it's already got an expanded critical on it. He rolls. He crits. I'm like, all right, roll to confirm. He rolls again. He crits again. I'm like, okay, you're in the lethal range. Roll to confirm. And of course, he's a barbarian. So he rolls, and he hits. And I'm like, you don't even need to roll damage. As you try to scramble away, the enraged barbarian stalks up behind you, holding the battle axe in both hands. One hand up near the head, one hand down near the end. As you scramble away, you trip. Now on all fours, you continue to crawl as fast as you can. He throws the axe up and slides the head hand down to the end. The axe suspended in midair, he lets it hover over his shoulder, letting gravity feed it, and he brings the entire weight, backed with the full barbarian rage behind it, down upon your gnome, splitting him in twain and embedding half of the axe head into the dirt itself. And that's how we lost our gnome. It was actually great. And you know what? There was no hurt feelings all around. I mean, except for the guy with the barbarian, because he, like, quit shortly after that. He's like, I cannot believe you did this. You guys are all assholes, and I'm not playing with you anymore. And I'm not playing with you because you let him do it. I'm like, what do you want me to do? It's not my job to get involved. JP says there are now 2 gnomes. As it turns out, unlike worms, they don't grow back. They don't split and then grow into 2 separate gnomes. So yeah, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. And granted, that one might have gone on a little bit too far, but at the same time, if he didn't feed into it, it wouldn't have been an issue. The fact was that, yeah, he was getting picked on, but it's what happens. You gotta be able to roll with it, or preferably, give back as good as you get. This guy couldn't. Yes, JP, this was brief. I have longer stories if you'd rather. In fact, I can recount entire campaigns. I have a memory. But come on, that was a fun story. We all like fun stories. Alright, however, back to what we were doing. Okay, so I rolled a charisma check. It's a 5. Alright, so an appraisal check is going to be much the same, except it's going to get the addition of a, it'll get the addition of skill check. So if we're going to say like a level, what's a good average level? Like a level 10 blacksmith. Yeah, see? Jeffrey says it was a fun story. Everybody loves a fun story. So we're going to say a dedicated blacksmith at level 10. So that's going to be plus 1 point for every level, plus 3 for, class skill. So that's going to be a plus 13. That's 29. All right, so that's a 29. I'm going to move this down. So now here's how this works. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract the 5 from the 29, which leaves us at 24. And that means that this is going to be a 24% markup in this direction. Wait, why did I go back like this? Stay here. This is where I want you. So we're at a 24% markup now. Now we come down to diplomacy. So we've already established the base price for this thing. And we're going to say, what's your diplomacy? I'm going to go ahead and say, because I don't know what level you are, and I'm going to assume that diplomacy is a class skill. So we're going to go with plus 1d10. Just because you're somewhere between level 1 and 10. Plus 3 for class skill. You've got a 16. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for the blacksmith. He's got a 22. You are losing this one hard. So we'll go ahead and take the format painter. So that's going to be another difference of 6, meaning that we're going to add the 6 in this direction. Or we're going to go 6% that direction. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a few of these. So that means that we now have a total of 30% in that direction from a base cost of $23.50. And if I get out my calculator real quick, $23.50 times 1.3 comes out to a nice and even 3,055 gold pieces. So that's what you're paying if you go to town and say, I would like to make this item, or I would like you to make this item for me. Craft it yourself, 1,175. Have somebody else craft it for you, 3,055. Which one do you want to do? Because, I mean, I know which one I want to do. Also, it occurs to me this is getting a little bit too far down on the screen. Let me move that up a little bit. I like to do this. This is my own system that I developed for negotiations just because it's important that you be able to haggle with different shopkeeps. Okay? You should be able to haggle over almost anything. But I've never found a good system for it. There are rules, I think, in Pathfinder for doing so, but they're kind of arbitrary and dumb. Whereas this is directly related to both your skills, your stats, and your luck. In this case, bad luck. But this could just as easily have gone in the other direction. Like, if we reverse these numbers, if this had gone the other way around, let's see, 2350 times 0.7. If the luck had gone the other way, it could have brought it down to 1,645 gold. Which is like 500 gold more than what you would spend doing it yourself, but maybe that's worth it to you. So this is how it would work, and this is why you would want to do it. At the same time, though, if you were doing this yourself, you would also need to have somebody who could channel. And since we're channeling, flaming is evocation, I do believe. Yes, very much evocation. Evocation is fire and earth, so you're probably going to want to get a man to do this. So let's go ahead and say, let's see, where is it? There it is. Since it's a man doing it, because this would be the best way to do it, we're going to do 2d100 for fire. Looks like an 88 and a 79. So we'll take the 88. So fire, 88. We'll do the same thing again for earth. That looks like a 73, I think. So earth is 73. Since we need both of these, that means that we're going to need roughly 500 points worth of fire, 500 worth of earth. Well, it doesn't really matter. Either way, we're just going to kind of combine these anyway. So the combined bonus from fire is going to be 88. Or no. Actually, we might not combine them. We might just split it. Yeah, I think we might just split it. I don't know. We'll have to think about that one. Because if we... Let me run these numbers and see how this works out. So if we don't split it, we just say 1,000. Fire is 44, obviously. Plus 72 divided by 2 is going to be 36. 36. That comes out to be... Actually, that comes out to be 50/80. So an 80% reduction from 1,000 is going to come out to be 200. Okay. So what if we do this? 500, 500. So 500 times... let's see, 44. If I take 44 off, that would be 54%? No, 56%. That'd be 280. And then, since the other one is 36% discount, that means that it'd be 500 times... let's see, 70, 64? Be 64%. Oops, I did that wrong. 320. And then, of course, we would just add these together because they'd have to be each paid to, the same way, which means it would come out to be 2 plus 3 is 5, 8 plus 2 is 1, so 600. I definitely like this way better. The other one seems a little bit too overpowered. Yeah, we're going to go with this one. So split the cost and do it that way. Jeffrey says, I want to join now, but I don't have a person. I think you mean a character? Nobody has a character. It's not running yet. This is just like a future thing that I'm doing for a campaign far down the road. Unless I actually do start up a second channel that is nothing but tabletop series. Because already we have one started, or at least one that's being set up. It's not started yet, but we're setting it up, and that's going to be a Star Trek game. Using an entirely separate module, and using the base game of Starjammer. This, however, because I love doing these modules so much, this is the Wheel of Time using Pathfinder, and this will be a future game. The question is, how am I going to keep up doing my gaming channel, and running live streams on the weekend, and running a tabletop game every single day of the week for an entirely separate channel? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm going to make it work. I may have to train myself up an entire army of DMs and then just rule over them. And then every once in a while pop up like, you know, Bella the horse to save the day. Alright, so I think this all works. Yeah, JP says we do need players, though, when it does start, and he's right, we will need them. So especially if you like Star Trek at all, because that's going to be the first one, then join the Discord. Because I'm trying to be as flexible as I can with most people. We're going to need to work out a schedule. I need people who can show up on a consistent basis. I want to work with people, but you have to be on the Discord server because that is what is going to handle the actual conversation. We will need to use the voice chat from Discord to talk while we're playing. The game itself will be handled on Roll20, which is free. And it's super simple to use. It's very scalable. It works great. Right there. And Jesse is already in the Discord. Well, as it turns out, names here and names there don't always match. So I don't know who is who. Like, there's a penguin in the Discord server. I thought it was Tux. Then I found out it wasn't Tux. I still don't know who it is. I mean, it's an imposter, obviously, but I'm not throwing him out the airlock. I mean, I only get one penguin, and I'm not going to waste it. Okay, so I think I can delete this. I can pretty much delete all of this. Turn that stuff off. Yeah, so this is good. Alright, so this handles item creation for these things well enough. Now, technically speaking, we never saw power forging for armor, but we could do the same thing for armor. I mean, this is all magic weapons, but magic armors and shields are all the same too. And I do believe that these are all different things that can be put in armor. So same rules. Same rules as before. Just, you know, this. So again, cost is a +1 bonus. It tells you what it is. This is an evocation. Yeah, so you could do the same thing with all of this. The only other thing that we'll need to work on now is the creation of Ungrial, Sa-Ungrial, and Tur-Ungrial. So we're going to take this, and I'm going to move it. I don't know, put it right there for a minute. I want to put a box around it. Put a box around it. And then we'll just shove it down here. There we go. Lovely. Now, crafting items. And all of my formatting is gone. Now it's back. So when it comes to magic items, we see Angreal, Sa-Angreal, and Tur-Angreal in the books, and they come in all different shapes, forms, and sizes. There are rings, there are amulets, there are rods. I think even Moraine's staff was some kind of Tur-Angreal, but I don't remember. However, I do know that she lost it when she used it to stop something. I forget what she stopped. I forget if she was trying to stop a weave with it or if she was trying to stop Machin Shin with it in the ways. Either way, she used it to stop something, so it was more than just a stick. I just don't know. I don't know if it was ever stated what it was. And okay, good to know, Jeffrey. I didn't realize that was you. You're very quiet. JP says also figurines. Interestingly enough, figurines could be created same as any kind of wondrous item. Literally, most wondrous items are most figurines are these. Let's see. And yeah, it does show right here all the places where you can stick items. You get a head item, a headband item. You get items for your eyes, shoulders. Just, one item, though, for your eyes and your shoulders. Neck, chest, body, armor, belts, wrists. Technically, 2 wrists because you can have 2, like, bracelets. Bracers come in pairs. Most bracelets come in pairs. But you can also get singles of them. Hands, again, it's usually gloves. And then a ring for each finger. Or each hand, rather. Because if you put 2 rings on the same hand, it's like crossing the streams. And you never cross the streams. However, figurines should also be in here, I think. Slotless? Tokens, torches. Doesn't actually mention them. Oh, wait, here we go. Anatomy doll. So yeah, a doll is in there, which means that figurines would also be in the same category. Hexing doll. Yeah. JP says, gonna put one on your toe. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna tell you can't put one on your toe. What I am gonna say is I might make it harder for you to actually activate it. Now, that being said, in previous games, I have had characters with horns put rings on their horns. I've had characters with tails put rings on their tails. I don't necessarily adhere strictly to it. There are some things that I am very strict about, like not putting 2 rings on 1 finger. That being said, though, I'm not I'm open to other things. The one thing that I'm not open to, however, is piercings. You cannot get like a magic piercing. Because otherwise you could just go nuts with that and I won't allow it. So no magic piercings. Yes, it has come up. I have had to say no. Alright, so the idea of making a magic figurine or something. The first thing we'd have to do is just figure out how much would the figurine cost. And that's hard. How much would the figurine cost, and how do you know if it's any good or not? Because it's not something that's usually crafted a whole lot. Like rings, rods, things like this. I have rules for these. At least I think I do. Do I? Magic item creation. So estimating the effects, magic and gold pieces. Let's see. Creator needs to have this. Crafting an item takes 8 hours of work per 1,000 gold pieces. So that means that to make the crossbow that we had earlier, since it was only a or it cost about 2,300. That would be like 2 days worth of work. Let's see, scrolls and potions. Yeah. Cooperative. Let's see, gold pricing. So when it comes to Ungrial, all we're really looking for is something that will boost things. Okay, here we go. Spell has a component cost. Add directly into the price of the item per charge, such as a wand of stone skin. Special qualities, wand costs. I wonder if this is our basis. Maybe this is the basis for it that we're looking for. If you wanted to cross it, you would just need to get together half of this cost plus the spells. But this should also be included in the spells, otherwise these things would be just ridiculous. Physical description, a wand is 6 to 12 inches long, 1/4 inch thick, weighs no more than an ounce. Does not... Oh wait, hold on. It's a thin baton that contains a single spell. The wand has 50 charges. The price of a wand is equal to the level of the spell times the creator caster level of the spell times 750 gold pieces. Okay. Okay. That works. Now that we've got this, we understand that to craft it, you just need to supply half of the cost. So in this case, what we're going to say is, to make an Ungrial, we need not the level of the spell, because we don't have spells. And maybe not even the caster level, because we don't necessarily have casters. So how are we going to do it? So this would be the level of the spell times the creator's caster level. And Jeffrey asked, do I remember the first campaign I was on? Somebody get Tux back in here. Jeffrey's stealing his ability to derail me. He's seriously trespassing on Tux's category, or on Tux's territory. Jeffrey, you're gonna have to be specific. The first game that I played in, or the first game that I ran? Because the answer to both of those is yes, but the story behind them is much different. Anyway, level of spell creator's caster level. That's not going to work for an Angreal. Not unless I have like some kind of level restriction on Angreal, and I don't even know how I would get started on that. So, let's think about this. What is the lowest we could have? The lowest we could have would be a cantrip, which is level 0, times the creator's caster level, which would be 1, times 750 gold pieces. That's obviously wrong, because that would mean that you could make cantrip items for free. Well, then again, maybe you can make cantrip items for free. They're cantrips. They're already infinite. Alright, so let's take something else. A level 1 spell, like a magic missile, like a wand of missiles. So it would be 1 times 1, because you could do that at level 1, times 750 gold pieces. Does that track? Yeah. That tracks. Okay, so we can use this. So then if you wanted to craft it, you would just have to find a stick. A nice stick, mind you. You don't want to just pick it or snap a branch off a tree. Unless you're a druid, I guess. But even then, a druid wouldn't snap a branch off a tree. They like trees. They want to be a tree someday. So yeah, we can work with this. Alright, so that tracks there. So instead, how are we going to do this? So that means that for the upper level of an Angreal, the highest level of an Angreal you could get would be a 99%. And I really think that what if we just did the percentage of the increase of the Angreal times 750 gold pieces. So that would be percentage times 750 gold pieces. That means that a 1% Angreal, which is basically nothing, that means that our average person here would just go up to 707. It would cost 750 gold pieces to make that to buy that Angreal retail, or roughly 375 to craft it yourself. But a 99% Angreal. 99 times 750 would come out to 74,250 gold pieces. So 1%, 750, 99%, 74250. 250. That is a damn expensive Angreal. Even if you were to divide that by half, that is still 37,125 in gold that you would have to come up with. Could be worth it, though. I mean, that could really be worth it. Because a 99% Angreal for our guy here with only 700 stamina, it's not going to be 1,400. Times 1.99. It would bring him up to 1,393. Oh yeah, 1,400 just minus 7. I am smart. I mean, that's a significant boost. Is it worth that much? I don't know. Could be, though. So that's how much it would cost in gold. And that's how much you would have to supply. But then there's the actual need to craft it yourself. And for that, did they ever specify in the books how they did it? Because I know that Elaine was particularly talented in it, but I don't remember if they ever actually talked about how. I think it mentioned somewhere in here a seed? Maybe it's on the other page. And Jeffrey, don't worry about it. You haven't derailed anything yet, and I haven't forgotten about you. I will tell you, just I'm not there yet. Creating Angreal. It is revealed that a Angreal called a seed is used to create Angreal. The crafter uses the Angreal to pour the power for a very long period into an empty vessel. The process is said to greatly weaken the channeler that created the Angreal for several months. Okay. Okay. That is a hammer blow. So, weaken the channeler that created it for several months. Do we have any more information on this seed? Yes. Weaken the channeler for several months, just prior to the battle. No, it literally says nothing about it. Okay. So, we're on our own then. That means that creating an Angreal or a Sa-Angreal is going to have to be treated like ability drain. Okay. No, this is actually good. This is actually really, really good. This is actually really good. Conditions. Where's conditions? Game mastering. Conditions. Let's see. We are creating Angry Owls. The other Angry Bird. Welcome back, Tux. By the way, Tux, you may want to have a bit of a talk with Jeffrey. Jeffrey's doing his best to derail conversations now. I just feel you should be aware. Energy drain. Here we go. The character gets one or more negative levels, which might become permanent. The subject has at least as many negative levels as hit dice. They die. See energy drain in negative levels. See. Some spells and number of undead have the ability to drain it away. Except I don't want energy drain necessarily. I'm looking more for ability drain. Tux just says, okay, say anything while Shadowcat is speaking and the conversation will be derailed. I'll let you know that I have not been derailed since you left. I'm not about to start now. I'm going to find where ability drain is first. I wonder if it's under afflictions? No. This is diseases and such, which is fine and all, but no, not what I want. Ability drain. Ability scores? Ability damage? Okay, ability damage. Diseases, poison spells, and other abilities that can all deal damage directly to your ability scores. The damage does not actually reduce the ability, but it does apply a penalty to the skills and statistics that are based on the ability. For every 2 points of damage you take or apply a -1 penalty to skills that use it. I usually just, directly apply it to the abilities, and if it drops you down below where it is, then, fine, whatever. Sometimes it's more harsh than it deserves, but life's not fair. Let's see. If the damage to your Constitution score is greater or equal to your Constitution score, you die, unless otherwise noted. Ability scores are healed at a rate of 1 per day to each ability score that has been damaged. Ability scores can also be healed through the use of spells such as Lesser Restoration. Okay. So here's what I think I want to do. Let me think about this for a minute. And Jeffrey just says, do questions count? What I asked was a question that was off topic, unless they were talking about making or buying a crossbow. Jeffrey, you seriously do not need to worry about it. Like, there's no moderator here that's going to kick you out for saying anything. I'm not going to berate you for saying things. If anything, I'm going to indulge you. Like, perhaps right now, because I need a minute to think about how I want to mathematically do this. Yeah, I need a moment to think about this one. So anyway, you were asking about the very first game that I did. I'll give you an answer for both of them, actually. So the very first game that I did, and this is rather short, I was invited to play a game of Dungeons & Dragons with some people when I was in high school. Having never played the game before, didn't know what I was doing, they just said, it doesn't matter, we're just playing a module, just make a character, which of course, I didn't have any books or anything. So I had to get together with somebody who did have the books, and I had to work out how to make a character with them. And as my very first character, I made a level 8 character. It was 4 levels of Rogue and 4 levels of Wizard, which remains my favorite class to this day. Dual class Rogue Wizard. We went through, I made myself very unpopular by disarming most of the traps that the DM set, or rather the module set, and bypassing a lot of the locked doors and stuff, which meant that the game was probably shorter than it could have been. And it all ended when we got to the end, and the final monster of the campaign was a displacer beast. which is one of my favorite monsters of all time. I had never seen one before, but I kind of fell in love with it, and fell in hate with it. I have a love-hate relationship with Displacer Beasts. Because Displacer Beasts are awesome. But what I didn't understand was the fact that it was displaced. Because I've never done this before. So everybody is trying to wail on this Displacer Beast. We're trying to kill it. We're shooting arrows, swinging swords. And of course nothing is hitting. Because it's a Displacer Beast. The way it was being played, and I'm not sure if this is the way the rules are supposed to do, but the figure was placed on one square. But the DM secretly knew what the square was that it was actually standing on just 5 feet away. Now I think the way it works in Pathfinder is when you swing at it, you basically flip a coin. And you have a 1 in 2 chance of actually hitting the thing. In this case, it was in one place. You just didn't know which place it was, and you wouldn't know until you actually hit it. But so we're throwing everything we can at this thing, and it's just murdering us left and right because we're not hurting it. We miss, it hits one of us. We miss, it hits one of us. And so after a while, it just wiped out the entire party. Until the DM is like, it's a Displacer Beast! It's not there! Why did nobody try to hit anything else? I'm just like, I didn't know. How the hell was I supposed to know? But it was a very, very good learning opportunity and one that has stuck with me forever. I'll tell you this. Do you want to know how you deal with Displacer Beasts? Whether it's played that way where it's on a secret square, or if it's, like displaced and you have a chance to hit it? Water. Water is the key. If you've got a water skin and a dagger, you can kill a Displacer Beast. Because you pull out your water skin, you stab it, rip it, and put water all over the floor. You'll see its paws, and you can then stab the bitch. And that doesn't just work for Displacer Beasts, that works for anything invisible that has to touch the floor. And by the way, if you can't stab it, but you've already got water all over the floor, if you know any wizard who's got electrical spells, just target the damn floor. Use Lightning Grasp and touch the floor. Your problem is solved. So yeah, I learned to fear Displacer Beasts, but because I learned to fear them, I also learned how to hunt them. And now they're kind of my favorite creature. Like, you want to see something really cool? They're out of stock, but I see something really cool. Where is it? Hasbro put these out to kind of celebrate their new movie coming out, the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. I'd love to have one of them. Check it out. I guess you can't really see it there. Hold on a second. I can't scroll up any further, so let me drag the window down a little bit. There he is. Look at him. That's such a good boy. Well, good kitty at least. And it rolls up into a D20. Like an actual D20. It's got numbers on it and everything that you can roll. Is that not the most adorable thing ever? I love Displacer Beasts. I really do. Okay, though. We're not going to spend any more time looking at this, because there's a lot of these dice figures. If I had the money, I would spend way too much money. Tux says, what skill and DC would it take to hunt a Displacer Beast? Okay. As far as the skill and DC it takes, what you're asking for is the challenge rating of it. And I don't know if Pathfinder has Displacer Beasts. Let's see. This creature resembles a large leopard-like cat. The problem is that Beholders, Displacer Beasts, couple of things I think are actual IPs owned by Wizards of the Coast. And so if you were to make one, it is technically IP theft. It's a breach of copyright. So I don't think that they have one. For that matter, though, why don't I just look it up, though? Let's see. "5e Displacer Beast." Challenge rating of 3. Okay, there you go. Right there. So a challenge rating of 3 means that this Displacer Beast would be a good challenge for 4 people of level 3. So there you go. That's the information there. As far as the rules for it go, I don't see anything. Tux says, I'm fairly certain you're looking at Paizo's Displacer Beast. They renamed it and slightly restyled it. Yeah. They have them, except Displacer Beasts, as far as I know, are not poisonous. Or I guess in this case, venomous would be the better word. Yeah, this is just a wiki page. This doesn't actually tell me a whole lot about it. Not from a mechanical standpoint, at least. But yeah, there you go. Now, I'm not totally familiar with that one because I used to play in 3rd edition, where they looked like that. Personally, I think they look a lot better now. Because these looked awful. I don't know why. 1st edition was just that. Okay, that's a nice looking kitty. 2nd edition, awesome looking kitty. It doesn't have 6 legs, but basically, it is the Merchant of Death from the cat world with squid tentacles. All right, and then we got this. Look, 3rd edition was hard times for us. We dealt with what we had. 3rd edition was actually awesome for D&D, but this not so much. 4th edition got better. Still a little scrawny, though. And then 5th edition, we're back to where we started now. It's a good-looking cat. So, there we go. Now, as for the first game that I ran, I did so for my household because they had never played Dungeons & Dragons. They were interested in trying it, and I was the only person in the house that had any experience with it whatsoever. So I said, yeah, I think I can do it. And so I ran the game. And it wasn't perfect. There was a lot of learning I had to do. But it turns out I'm actually really good at it. I've always been a natural storyteller. I am a decent writer, even if I have a hard time sitting down to write. ADHD's a bitch sometimes. But the point is that I'm really good at the whole running the game thing. I can improvise on the fly. I can make decisions so I don't get too caught up in, should I do this, should I do that, whatever. I can embellish, I can balance. I pretty much have all the skills that you really need to be a decent DM. The only thing I really lack is practice. I could be better. And it's been a long time since I've been doing it, but I do try to keep up with my skills. So I'm looking forward to starting these series over again, to start new campaigns, and I think that I'll fall right back into it. But yeah, the story that I did before, or the first campaign that I ran, I never got to finish it, but I tried to run it twice, and I never got to finish it either time. Unfortunately, because it was a very grand epic. I mean, we're talking like a campaign that would go for months or years, and I just could not get people that wanted to stick with it that long. I like long stories. And it's probably one of the reasons why I never heard of the Wheel of Time until it was like almost done. And then when I finally got around to reading it, I binged the entire thing. The longest written book series in the world. I got a thing for long stories. But I like them because you can get invested in them. My biggest problem when it comes to D&D is you can run one-shots if you want. But what I think is awesome, the perfect D&D game, I think, is one that you can take your characters from level 1 to level 20. Everybody wants to have a level 20 character, okay? Everybody wants that. But I think just running a level 20 campaign cheapens it. You need to earn it. You might not think about it at the time because you're just like, I don't want to start at level 1. But by the time you get to level 20 and you can look back at everything you did to get there, all the stories that you've got, all the adventures, there's a reason why it's called experience. And it's not just your characters gaining experience that they're applying towards their abilities. You as a person, as the player, as the mind and the heart, playing the character on the sheet. It's your experience too. Which is why I have boosted some characters when I've started a campaign to maybe level 3. I think one time I even did level 5. But I'm loath to do it because you're missing all the stuff that leads up to it. And just writing it into a backstory does not do it justice. So yeah, I like long stories. And the first one that I wrote was going to be a really long story. It was this massive epic campaign where the world had been set in motion. And dragons, because, it's Dungeons and Dragons, you gotta have dragons, had been left as caretakers for the world. It was their world. But when the lower races started to come in, the dragons said, we're going to take a back seat, and we're going to let them have the world. So they were supposed to kind of shepherd the new races. Then turns out that the younger races pissed off the dragons, and now half of the dragons want them dead. It was basically metallics versus chromatics. And so you've got the metallics on one side that want all of your player characters dead. Metallics on the other side that are trying to protect you, and at the heart of it, They're all trying to act through proxies because they know if they directly intervene, they may bring down the wrath of those above them. So it was a lot of intrigue, it was a lot of subterfuge, a lot of second guessing. Where are you? What's going on? And can you even trust these people? Because maybe they're just people. Maybe they're agents for a dragon in disguise. Who knows? And in all of this, you're going to have to find some way to deal with this problem that you're stuck in. It had a lot of potential to it. Unfortunately, like I said, I tried to run it twice. It fell apart each time. But, you know, campaigns do that. So, anyway. What we need here, to get back on track, is we need some way to weaken people. Now, how are we going to do this? The problem with making these Angreal is that it's going to weaken you for a time, which I think we're going to use something similar to, I think we're going to use something similar to the ability to score damage. And what we're going to do is, I think what we're going to do is we're going to translate. We're going to translate directly the cost of the Angreal, and we're going to take it away from your max stamina. So here's how we're going to do this. So to create Angreal, the percent of the Angreal will equal the percent of your stamina you use. So you won't even necessarily have to measure your stamina. You're just going to say that I would like to make a I would like to make a 99% Angreal. To do so, you will need to sacrifice 99% of your stamina. Your max stamina. Now, it won't be gone forever. It will come back over time, but it means that you will take yourself from, say, having 700 stamina to having 7. Which means that if we go back to our rules here, it would cost you... The form of your weave is free. The function of it, it will cost you 1 point if you want it to be utility, or 2 points if it's going to be destructive. So for a utility, it's just 1, which means that you can still use the 1 power to, say, light a torch. It would cost you 3 points to light a torch that you're holding. Because it's 1 utility point, its range is 1 torch, the area is 1 torch. So 3 points, you can literally just channel a little bit of fire and do it. But after you created a 99% Angreal, well, yeah, I mean, that it's still going to be all of us. And if you're holding the Angreal, 99% of 7 is 6. So you could hold your own Angreal and boost yourself up to 13 when you previously had 700. And we would give you back, like, say, 1% per day. Similar to how with ability damage, where was it? Yeah. Ability scores are healed at a rate of 1 per day to each ability score that's been damaged. So you would just get 1% back per day. And you would have to do the math. Like, just what is 1% of 700? Okay. Next day, I'm up to 2%, and you'll have to keep track of that. So after a week, you've gotten back 7%. You're doing better. However, 99% Ungreal would take you 99 days to get back up to your full strength again. Now, if you're holding that Ungreal, then by day 50, you would technically be at your full strength. And then you're just getting better for the remaining 50 days. But then if something was to happen, or if you gave your Ungreal to somebody else, then, I don't know. Would you really be comfortable with giving it to somebody else knowing that you're going back down to only 50% of what you were? Questions to be asked. Now, the question of Sa Ungreal. If we used the same, then that means that to create a Sa Ungreal, which can go anywhere from 100% to 200%, it would technically be able, or you would technically be able to craft a Sa Ungreal, a perfect Sa Ungreal. 200% strength. If I let you go to a negative score when you craft it at negative 100%, which would basically be if you had 700 stamina, negative 700. I think we then come back here and say at negative 700 or negative 100%, you could roll 1d12. 7 through 12, maybe you're safe, and it just takes you a really, really long time before you can even touch the 1 power again. However, 3 to 6, maybe you burned yourself out in the process. 1 to 2, maybe creating the Sa Ungreal kills you. How badly do you want a perfect Sa Ungreal? I mean, you could skate by that, I guess, by making an imperfect one, you know, only 199%. I guess it depends on how much you want to roll the dice. So I think I'm just going to copy this. And we'll just put up here, Sa Ungreal. Meaning that you could do it yourself, or you would probably need a circle to do it safely. But that would drain probably equally from both of you. So are you really willing to sacrifice the stamina of 2 channelers now to make this thing? I don't know. Then Ungreal. These are going to be a bit different. Although maybe not. So the idea of a Ungreal is that a Ungreal just weaves the 1 power. That's all it does. It does one thing. what I think... Okay, let me know what you think of this. What if the cost to create a ter'angreal will be the same. You'll use the same cost up here. So the same cost mechanic. We'll use the same cost mechanic, but in addition, we'll use our rules over here. So you can make a ter'angreal to do anything you want it to. And we're going to have it be able to weave number per day. And the way it'll work is, as you're creating your ter'angreal, you'll take the cost of whatever you do here. So let's say that you wanted to be able to replicate a Burning Hands, okay? Burning Hands. So Burning Hands. Burning Hands is a 15-foot cone. 15-foot cone, I do believe, is roughly 6 squares. Yeah, it's 6 squares. So that means that when we come back to this, we're going to say, okay, the shape is a cone. The function is destructive, so it's 2 points per square. 2 points per square is 12. 6 squares. Actually, technically this would be a fan, but whatever. The range is going to be 1 point per square. So again, 6 squares. The area is also 1 point per square. Well, no, I guess the range would be 3. The area is 6. And now, it does 1d4 points of damage per fire damage per caster level, to a maximum of 5d4. So, we cannot apply a discount to this, because this has got to be taken directly from our stockpile. Well, maybe we can. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and figure it out. So, a maximum of 5d4. What would that cost us? 2d4 costs us 5. So if we did this twice and then 1d4 once, that would be 5, 10, 13. Okay. So if we add it all up, that's 25 plus 9 is 34. Okay, so there we go. 34. Now, if I do some quick math here and just divide 34 into 700, that comes out to be about 5%. It's actually 0.048 number. But we're gonna round it up to 5%. So 5% for this person to do it before we apply any kind of, talent with the 1 power. That means that if we were to use that, we could make a ter'angreal that could use this weave, this Burning Hands weave, 20 times a day. In doing so, however, because we're doing it 20 times, we're going to reduce our overall stamina from 100% to 0%. Which will then, of course, have to build up over time. So let's see. cost of weave divided by stamina for percentage and that's how we work that. So for everything you have, you could have a Terangrial that will just burn things 20 times a day, which you might need it. And the thing about Terangrial is that most of them don't require a channeler to use them. Most of them don't, at least. Some of them do. But I'm not going to mess with that because I don't think I necessarily want to specify which ones do or don't. I want to keep that one kind of broad because I want people to be able to use Terangrial if we find them. So otherwise, I think this works. I like this. I think we can delete this. I'll just take these and move it up. And I'm just going to go ahead and make this all of them. And this is going to be Terangrial. And again, it's going to be the percentage times 750 gold pieces. So like to make a Saangrial, you're going to start with 75,000 gold pieces and go up. Because you're going over 100%. Now, if you're doing the crafting, again, you get to cut that in half, but it's still significant. But I think these are good rules. I like it. So put a box around it. We'll stick it down here. Or over here. Over here is good too. So there we go. That takes care of crafting. Boom. Done. Delete that. So, one more thing checked off the list, unless somebody else has an idea of something else that we should be adding to this. We still got to do the Wolf Brothers, Dreamwalkers. Let's see. I know I'm adding more to this, but kind of has to be done. Tel Aran Riyadh. We need rules for that. And I think we need to go through and do some actual weaves. Because I know that somebody somewhere is going to try and use Balefire at some point. So we'll have to actually write up some rules for some very specific weaves. And make that work. Like, some weaves don't really need to have rules for them. Like, if you wanted to immobilize someone, and so you wanted to wrap them in weaves of air, well, you would basically just do a weave of air. It'd probably be considered utility, but you could weave it in air using a damage dice and force them to make a strength check versus your weave of air. Which means that if you wanted to wrap somebody in air and you did so with only 1d4 points, maybe they could break out of it. Then again, if you pour 20 points into 4d10 worth of strength, yeah, nobody's getting out of that. Not unless they roll like a perfect crit. I'm talking like it has to be on the 20 itself. Tuck says, there are 2 wounded goblins. Balefire! Send out the nukes! Tux, I'm not sure if you entirely understand what Balefire does. Balefire is the North Korea of damaging spells. It doesn't just kill you. It wipes out you, and it wipes out each generation on either side of you. It is not to be taken lightly, and JP is way, way, way too excited for this. Just, no. JP needs to sit down in the corner and take a timeout. But yeah, we'll have to go through certain weaves, so if you've got suggestions for weaves that you would like to see, leave them in the comments. And Tux, no, the goblins are not dead. The goblins never existed. That's how Balefire works. It's not dead. It's not destroyed. It's not even technically erased. Because to erase something would be to acknowledge that it existed in the first place. To Balefire something is to remake the universe, and the thing never existed. It is so far beyond dead and destroyed that even God could not bring it back. Literally. That's not my rules, and that's not my hyperbole. That's according to the book. So, anyway though, weaves. If you have any weaves that you would like, leave them in the comments and I'll get to them. I'm just going to put Balefire on here because I know we're going to want it. I mean, I'm going to heavily advise you not to use it, but it's going to be there. So yeah, leave any other weaves that you want to see in the comments and we'll work on those. Otherwise, though, we've been doing this for nearly 3 hours, so I think it's about time for a break. It's definitely about time for a break for me. I did have one thing, though. I did imply that there would be a bit of a sneak preview. So, as I'm signing off of here, I'm going to leave you with something. Just because I'm kind of nice like that. Let's turn this down. Because I spent all this time on it, I'm going to sneak peek it. So, before I sign off of here, I will say this. If you've enjoyed this, if you're new here, JP asks, is it herpes? It is not herpes, no. I don't have it, and if you do have it, I don't want it. So anyway, yeah, as I was saying, if you're not subscribed already, do subscribe to the channel if you're watching this afterwards. And if you're new here, I mean, please subscribe. I like subscribers. They're nice. They smell good for a while. Otherwise, do share this out with anyone you think might enjoy it. I mean, if you like Wheel of Time, you'll enjoy what we're talking about here. Or if you like tabletop games in general. Even if you don't like the Wheel of Time, but you do tabletop games, you might learn something. And that's always helpful. Otherwise, leave a like on the stream. Leave a like on the video afterwards. Leave your comments down below. Or come join us on the Discord server and you can yell at me there. Yeah, your choice. And I guess I will see you next time. So until then, enjoy the sneak peek of what's coming up later this week. And take care.